Hello and welcome to the Bride Tender podcast. I'm your host, Estee Gordon, and I'm here to tend to the brides like I tend to the bar. So mix yourself a cocktail and let's get ready to discuss all things weddings. So the first thing I want to talk about today is I woke up on the right side of the bed this morning and I decided to start my day with a little Tony Robbins, which I'm going to be honest with you, isn't really exactly how I start my day. Nothing negative to say on that. I'm just more of I'll listen to Gary Vee. I'll listen to some BS podcast about just something funny, comedy, whatever to kind of get my day going. But lately on Sundays, and I'm recording this on Sunday for tomorrow, for Monday, I want to kind of put myself in the right mindset for everything going on. You know, it's been a really tough year. I think a lot of people are struggling, not just in the wedding industry, but really in any industry. But I will say, just being somebody in the wedding industry, we've really seen the struggles that I see the struggles that my peers are going through of all of their events having been postponed and some having been canceled and some going to a smaller guest count. And, 2020 has been a really, really crazy, really hectic, really stressful year. And while I was listening to Tony Robbins, he mentioned this whole thing about that you could, in the new year, you make resolutions. So we talk about resolutions and what we want to do. Do we want to get in better shape physically? Are we going to go to the gym every day? Are we going to eat healthier? Are we going to strive towards getting that promotion? Are we going to just decide to be in a better positive mindset? I don't know. Everybody's kind of got different resolutions. I'm just throwing a few out there that we tend to see on Instagram on January 1st every year. But he mentioned this whole thing, and the reason why I'm bringing it up is about rituals, traditions, and it really had me thinking about my peers and stuff in the industry. The reason why is because I know how hard this year has been, how hard 2020 has been. No one is coming out unscathed from this year. It has been extremely challenging. But I've seen so many of my peers just absolutely skyrocket and soar during this time. And I think as someone myself who has also been going through the same thing, did whatever it took to keep busy, keep the bills paid, whatever I needed to do. I've seen so many people in the industry who've gone out of their way to do things that maybe they wouldn't normally do, or, learn new techniques or take on different practices within their companies, or mold their companies a little differently to meet clients' needs that need to be met right now in an era of COVID. And no matter how hard it was, I've seen so many people striving and doing what they have to do, learning new techniques of social media, which I'm currently learning too. I'm not great at it, but I'm learning. And just taking on new roles and new responsibilities and learning new things, learning new trades. I've seen people who are event planners who are great at staging events go and into the real estate market, which is so hot right now, and stage homes for realtors so that they can get those homes sold. So that's just one example. But I just wanted to kind of give a shout out to everybody in this industry who is really pulling through in such a tough time where we have so many rules and laws against what we can do, but we're doing whatever it takes to, one, pay the bills, two, make our clients happy, and three, just learning new trades, new things. Like, I mean, I've seen people that are well older than me, outside of the social media aspect or anything like that, and they're completely like turning into like social media superstars. And it goes to show, it doesn't matter what age you are, it doesn't matter what job you do, it doesn't matter. If you put the time and the energy and you care and you do what you got to do, like, there's a lot of people who are succeeding. And I just really think that we need to like take a moment for all these small wins, because I was talking about this with my friend a few days ago, is that I'm not one of these people who knows how to like stop and like smell the roses like in the moment. I'm more like rush. Like, I don't know how to ever, almost like feel good about the things that maybe I'm doing. And right now we have to really like thank God and just notice that like there's so many small wins in this. And like we're in the toughest time, but like we're here. We're doing what we have to do to build business. We're making new connections. We're doing it virtually, which in our industry is like completely unheard of, because normally we're like face to face and at events and at networking things and socializing. And now we're socializing in a totally different way. So I didn't mean to go on a rant about this, but I just really think that, one, the first thing is shout out to everybody in the wedding industry who I know is like, it's such a struggle right now, but like you're making it happen. And then when business starts getting busy again, it's like you're over like this hump of like, how do I make it happen? Because you're making it happen now. So that's first and foremost. Thoughts of the day. I was just thinking about it. I've talked to a bunch of friends in the industry. It's so tough. Everybody is really dealing with the same thing. And it's challenging. But when events come back, like, people are going to be so ready to leave the house, get dressed, feel good, have their makeup done, have their hair done. I mean, I see so many like hairstylists and makeup artists who they have like honed in on their craft like even that much more in this time, and like their work is incredible, insane, beautiful. Photo shoots happening, all these things happening that maybe we didn't have time for before, but now they're happening. And it's, all of this preparation of 2020 is going to pay off majorly for like what was lost in 2020. It will be gains in 2021 and beyond. That's the end of my rant on that. Okay. So, back to something about rituals. So, Tony Robbins went into this whole thing about how, first and foremost, we have resolutions, but resolutions aren't always met because they're kind of like a shoulda, woulda, coulda situation. But if you put it on like, this is what I want to be, this is who I want to be, this is what I'm going to make happen, this is like the next step of my career, this is the next step of my life, my whatever, I'm going to do it, then it's not to say that there's more pressure. That's the person that you are, and that's what you're becoming, opposed to what you want to become and what you already are. So, like if you wanted to like lose weight and you're like, oh, I'm going to like diet, but like that doesn't really like always translate, because sometimes it just gets so tough and you become miserable, and then you're like, I don't want to do this, like screw it, whatever, I can't stick to this. But if you're changing something that's like more of your lifestyle, then it becomes like a part of you. I'm using an example that like I could actually like care less about. But for me, I felt like one of my things was being in the wedding industry. I've been in it honestly for most of my life. I grew up in this industry. For a lot of you that know, I grew up in the catering world. I grew up in the kosher catering world, actually. I went into more of a sales role as I like got into my 20s and post college and whatnot. And I worked all of these random jobs in the industry to figure out the moves that I wanted to make. And something that I realized throughout this time is like, I have a background in public relations. For a lot of people that might not know, I used to do public relations along with event planning for a bunch of years in the healthcare industry. And I really miss that. And I miss that part of me. And I missed that for 4 years. I was missing it, and I didn't know what was missing. And that's why I started this platform. That's why I started this podcast. And I see that there's other people who are looking to do now, what I'm doing. And honestly, best of luck. I wish everybody best of luck. Our industry really needs to grow and come back, and the more voices to be heard, the better. But for me, this is like the next step for me and for my career and what I want to do and speaking. And I have my master's in public speech. So, a lot of people know being able to speak to people in the industry, get their voices heard, get them out there, let people see some of the best people to work with that I know. Some I know personally, some I've been able and fortunate to meet throughout this by using this platform. And I just think as, going into the holidays, this and that, it makes you realize, like, what do you want in the new year? What do you want for you? Who do you want to be? And me, I want to morph my worlds of public relations and events. And that's what I'm going to make happen, because that's who I am. Not who I want to be, but who I am. So that was the first thing about Tony Robbins. The second, talking about rituals, made me think of traditions. Now, traditions for everybody is different. But in the wedding industry, we see a lot of similar traditions. And I really wanted to take a moment to like drive something home, to land the plane, so to say. I think a lot of people are worried about what to do with planning their wedding, about what if it can't happen that day because government shuts things down, or we don't know if we're going to be able to have gatherings by the time of your wedding. We don't know. For those of you that don't know, I am born and bred in New York. So with that being said, New York has been limited more so than other states throughout this entire pandemic. So we've seen a lot of weddings and events in general postponed to 2021, and now might have to postpone again because we're not at this phase where we can have more guests for a wedding. And if you are in New York, you might know a lot of our weddings tend to be 150 plus guests. What I wanted to say with that, and I wanted to touch on something that my dad said last week. My parents, they're an odd one, like an odd one-off situation, but they got engaged after 4 months, had an 8-month engagement, and have been married for almost 37 years. If you are set to get married on a certain day, whatever that day is, whatever that day. Get married that day. If you know, it might not be exactly how you pictured it, but your vendors and they will work with you, and I'm sure you've already seen that they'll work with you, but they're put in place, like you pick your vendors for a reason, right? You have your hair and makeup scheduled for that day. Look amazing on that day and marry your partner. The party, if it's not going to be exactly what you like were hoping based on the circumstances, you can always push that back. But you can look beautiful and get married that day. You can. And a lot of people pick a date because it has some sort of significance to them. They pick a season because they just wanted it done that season. And you know what? That's the whole thing about like rituals and traditions. Sometimes if you grow up and let's say you're Catholic and you wanted to do that church ceremony, do that church ceremony. Keep that tradition. Keep that ritual going. I understand that things are not, they're not like what we're used to. We're living in, I don't want to call it a new normal because I don't really want to like believe that this is like going to be the norm forever. But I believe that if you want to start a chapter with someone, there's no time like doing it when you were going to, because pushing it back is, you can always push back the party, but I don't know why. For me, like, I don't think I would like push back the marriage part, you know. I spoke to somebody this week, an old friend of mine. She's married, she has a child, and she actually does not work in the industry, and we haven't seen each other for a while. And she was like, a lot of people get lost on the fact that a wedding is not about the party. It's about the marriage. It's about two people that love each other and want to be together. And I just think together, like, your forever should start like when you planned on it starting. I think pushing back forever, it just doesn't make sense to me. Again, this is just my opinion. Do whatever you want with that. But in terms of traditions and rituals, I wanted to touch on that because some of them are, you know, like religious reasoning. You want to get married in church, you can do that. Churches, temples, they are open for those things at, you know, certain capacities. You know, if you're Jewish, like I'm Jewish, and you want that Jewish ceremony, you can still have a rabbi officiate your ceremony. Like the groom can still step on the glass at that ceremony. So those are certain things that can happen. Those are just some religious aspects to it. But I know that things like look different. We're not seeing the crowds that we're used to, and there's masks involved, and the industry has changed. But I do believe that we'll come back from this. And as I talk to a lot of my peers in the industry, I think it will be a little tough for at least the beginning of 2021. But 2022 is looking real good right now. Just saying. So those are just a few of my thoughts for the day. This is actually my last episode that I'll be doing kind of solo for a while. I'm sure like everybody's happy about that. I'm also really thrilled. I have some great guests coming up for the next couple of weeks, especially as we lead up to the holidays, which is amazing. One of my favorite things of all time is merch. If you know me, you know that about me. Like, I love anything that can be customized And that's a big thing that I'm going to be talking about the next couple weeks as I have some of our guests on. So I don't want to like spoil it and give it away, but I just want to let you know if you're looking for, certain items that can be customized for you or your bridesmaids or your mom or mother of the groom or anything like that, stay tuned because that is coming. One last thing that I did want to touch on though is I have been so fortunate throughout this whole time to have people on who are either people I know or people I know who introduced me to somebody else who they thought would be a great addition to come on the show. And I've had some of the top people in the industry come on, and I'm so fortunate, and I can't say that enough. I think had I started this podcast maybe a year ago, it wouldn't have maybe worked out that way because the timing wasn't right. But because I started this at the beginning of the pandemic, I actually have been like very fortunate. I mean, I haven't been able to do a lot of in-person things, which of course is the downside, but I've been able to do a lot of things virtually and have some amazing, amazing people on. So I just wanted to say that first, that I'm so thrilled to have had some amazing guests on and people that I will, of course, have on again, as we get back into real like wedding season very soon. That's first. Second, if you're watching this podcast and there's something that you want me to touch on or speak about that maybe you feel I haven't, I'm happy to discuss that. If you have any questions, anything that you think, if you want to know pricing on something that from a vendor and I haven't had that vendor on, but you want me to speak with them, or if you are a vendor that wants to come on and you think like you'd be a good addition to, an episode and we can discuss, I'm happy to do that. A lot of people that I do know are New York based. Occasionally I have somebody on who might be outside of New York that I know, or somebody that I just touched base with because I think that they're a good fit. But if you personally are someone or know someone that you think would be a great addition to the show, I'm happy to have them on. And I'm happy to answer any questions for you that you feel that you need clarification on. We talk a lot about budgeting here. We talk a lot about, what's trending, what's out, what guest counts are allowed, what's allowed during COVID, what wasn't allowed during COVID. I try to bring on some of the best in the industry. That's my goals, to bring you people who are amazing at what they do. And if there's somebody that you think is a good fit, and whether that's in New York or outside of New York, I'm happy to have them on and reach out to them. And you can always reach out to me on Instagram at The Bride Tender and let me know, or you could always email me at thebridetender@gmail.com, and I'm happy to, discuss having some more guests come on that would fit the questions that you have. I do have a lot of experience in the field, but the good thing about having this platform is to have vendors on who take care of certain things that, I might work with them on, but I couldn't answer as well as maybe they could. So, DJs, bands, photographers, videographers, hair and makeup, merch, which is coming. I like to talk about just rentals. Rentals is a big thing. Catering in general. We're going to touch on that too, actually, soon. About off-premise catering, because I do believe that we are going to see a lot more of backyard, outside weddings where you have to bring everything on for quite some time. And, you know, I like to bring on planners that I've worked with, teams that I've worked with that I know do an amazing job. And I just want to let you all know that if you know anybody else who you think is a good fit to come on and discuss what they do, that I'm 100% all in. So please always feel free to reach out to me. And know that even through like these like dark times, like there's a light at the end of this tunnel. There is. I think, we'll start seeing some more things open up in 2021. But the best advice that I can give you, right now as you're planning is just have a backup plan. Have a backup plan about, if for any reason you can't do the party on that day, have a backup day. Or if you decide that you're going to do something smaller because you want to do it that day and do everything at once, that's okay too. It's just have a plan, have those discussions with your vendors, keep everything intact, because when you choose your vendors and you choose your venue and you choose your location, if you're doing it in the backyard even, it's all very personal. And I know a lot of vendors, they take so much pride in the weddings that they work. And just keep that in mind as you're, as a couple, as you're planning. And, just know that I'm going to have some amazing guests coming on. And if you're looking for gifts or anything of that nature, stay tuned, because the holidays are coming. And I think it's like that exciting time where if you need a gift for a bride and groom or anything, or you have friends that got newly engaged or anything like that, or you are the bride and you want to do photo shoot stuff that's more customized to you, stay tuned, because that is coming and I'm so excited to talk about it. So that about wraps up today. Thank you all for tuning in to today's episode. For those of you that don't know, I'm Estee Gordon. You can follow me on Instagram at The Bride Tender, where I share fun facts on the wedding industry, ways to save money on your special day, and of course, hiring the best in the business for your wedding. Feel free to slide into my DMs with questions that you want answered on all things weddings. Make sure to keep in contact, as I have some really exciting people coming on in the next few weeks. And until next week, where I will have a guest, stay sane, stay healthy, and we'll catch you next week. Bye.